After no film in 2009, May 7th of 2010 would see the worldwide release of Iron Man 2, this time under the brand new ownership of Disney, who ended up buying Marvel in 2009. Produced on an increasing budget of $200 million, the film would go on to make $623.9 million. When it came to critics, the film is definitely not as fondly remembered as Iron Man 1, currently sitting at a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. But from what I've seen, it's definitely turned into a more favorable film as the years have went on. It might not be an amazing film, but it's good and continues a great storyline to build up to the Avengers. And speaking of that, as the film actually opens up, we are taking to the ending of Iron Man 1, where Tony Stark announces to the world that he is Iron Man. But we see that this is actually being watched from someone in Russia. This happens to be Ivan Vanko, the father of Anton Vanko, who actually worked with Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark, on developing the Arc reactor. We now jump over to Tony Stark, who has now reopened the Stark Expo in his father's legacy. We find out that the palladium core that the Arc reactor is made of is actually hurting Tony, so he needs to find something else or it's going to lead to his death. Stark actually appoints Pepper Potts the new CEO of Stark Industries, and they both employ Natasha Romanoff. Later on, we see Tony get into some trouble as he tries to race his own car in the Monaco Grand Prix. He is attacked here by Ivan Vanko and left very hurt. As Vanko is taken to jail, he's actually helped out and rescued by Justin Hammer, a rival of Tony Stark. Tony's pretty bad off and continues to just be an insane person, throwing a giant house party that doesn't go good. As his best friend James Rhodes shows up, and when the two don't agree, James Rhodes puts on the Iron Man Mark II. The two have a quick fight, and then Rhodes actually steals the armor and brings it to his airbase, where Justin Hammer outfits it to make it the War Machine. Tony Stark, then trying to reevaluate his life, gets working with Jarvis and actually makes himself a cure, well, a temporary cure you could say, to what's happening with his condition. Now, with the help of Ivan Vanko, Justin Hammer actually makes his own pair of drones that he hopes he's going to sell to the military, and he's going to show it off at the Stark Expo. Ivan actually programmed these drones to just all-out attack and execute his plan of revenge. To make matters worse for everybody, the War Machine armor was actually one of the ones that was outfitted by Ivan, who also manages to take control of that one. But in the end, Natasha is able to save the day, disable that control with the help of some other people, and Iron Man and War Machine tag team up against a bunch of drones and end up taking care of Ivan Vanko in his own armor. Nick Fury then informs Tony Stark that they're only going to really use him as a consultant and not really a core member of the Avengers. In the post-credit scene of the movie, we see S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson as he reports that he's at the location of a large hammer that crashed in the New Mexico desert, setting up the next film in the series. The cast of Iron Man 2 consists of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark aka Iron Man, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, Don Cheadle taking over for Terrence Howard as James Rhodes, Scarlett Johansson in her first appearance as Natasha Romanoff aka the Black Widow, Sam Rockwell, who was actually the second runner-up for the role of Iron Man, as Justin Hammer, Mickey Rourke as Ivan Vanko, and Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. And at this time, something pretty major was going on with Marvel. They knew they struck gold, and most of the actors that were signing on for 3 to 6 to even Samuel L. Jackson's 9-picture deal. After the huge success of Iron Man 1 though, there was a lot of setbacks to Iron Man 2. Suddenly the studio executives thought they knew better than what Kevin Feige and the other people were doing, so they stepped in and they wanted to pseudo set up the Avengers in this movie by throwing a bunch of unnecessary references into it, which to many people is exactly what holds this film back. And a few other things were mandated right off the bat that they could never touch upon. In Iron Man 1 and elements of Iron Man 2, we see that Tony Stark is definitely showing signs of his alcohol abuse that he showed in the comics. Unfortunately, these had to be scaled back. The film also took a much bigger approach to showcasing all the action and focusing less on the core characters, which is something that people definitely did not want, considering Iron Man 1 was all about character building and establishing this universe. And towards the end of the film, we even see the first integration of everything Marvel. There's mentions of certain things happening which are going to connect to Thor. There's even a Captain America comic that's seen in the movie. And the Hulk is even visible doing the rampage in New York from The Incredible Hulk, which sets this movie only a few days after those events. Iron Man 2's lasting legacy is an interesting one. It's definitely a movie that's been made better by subsequent sequels and things that have been retconned into the MCU, like the S.H.I.E.L.D. twist. Unfortunately, it is still a rushed product. You can tell it suffered from only 6 to 7 months of script development and a rushed post-production. But for all its shortcomings, Iron Man 2 is still a very entertaining flick. And at least we have that.